Fragile X was discovered in 1943 by Julia Bell and James Martin. This is why Fragile X syndrome is sometimes called the Martin-Bell syndrome. This discovery came from their observations and genetic research of a family that had a lot of intellectual disabilities. What they realized is that there were far more males with intellectual disabilities than females. And they hypothesized that this could be because men only have one X chromosome, therefore making genetic disabilities related to the X chromosome easier to transmit in men. The other major figure in Fragile X research history is a guy named Herbert Lubbs, and he was the one to discover that the X chromosomes of someone with Fragile X is physically different looking, and it actually looks to be broken, and that's where the name Fragile X comes from. All this really comes full circle in the late 70s, where a scientist named Grant Sutherland developed the ability to detect the Fragile X chromosome in the genetics. And what this does is it allows families to test and see what their likelihood of carrying Fragile X is and how likely they are to have a child with Fragile X. He took this information and actually went back to the original family that Bell and Martin studied, and they found out that they indeed had Fragile X, a lot of it in their family. It really is incredible to see how quickly we've come in such a short period of time. I want to conclude by showing a news clip which shows a new drug treatment program for Fragile X that was aired just a year ago.
Might not have heard of it, but Fragile X syndrome is the most common inherited type of mental impairment. It's a disorder involving chromosomes that can be diagnosed while a baby is still in the womb. Well, now an experimental treatment helps kids with Fragile X get rid of some of the symptoms that affect them developmentally. Holly is her mom's little princess, but this girl's fairy tale started with a scare. While pregnant with Holly, Vicki Davis found out she was a carrier of Fragile X syndrome.
I had never heard of it. I had no clue what it was.
It's a mutation of a gene on the X chromosome that leads to a lack of protein production, critical for development. It's one of the most common causes of mental retardation.
30% of individuals with Fragile X syndrome have full autism. Another 30% have an autism spectrum disorder.
Rhonda Hagerman of the Mind Institute says she first met Holly when she was just a few months old. The infant's Fragile X syndrome was subtle, but
she was extremely delayed.
As part of a clinical trial, Holly started taking a serotonin medication. Then minocycline, a common antibiotic normally used to treat acne, was added to her regimen.
Her developmental testing just improved remarkably.
Okay.
Holly didn't start talking until she was 2.5. Vicki says additional minocycline treatments around that time helped her catch up to other kids and even excel. At just 4, she started reading.
The medication really helped create some of those pathways that taught her how to learn.
Hagerman hopes the treatments that helped Holly could do the same for kids with autism.
Yes!
And that could mean a lot more children living happier and healthier lives.
Can you say no?
Dr. Hagerman says this new drug treatment can be used in older kids, but the results might not be as dramatic. UC Davis Mind Institute is currently testing other drugs to improve the symptoms of Fragile X patients up to 25 years old.